Hello, everyone. Welcome to Defrost the Chicken. My name is Natalie Calderon, and I'm going to be your host today. Today, I have Paula with me. She's a friend, and we're going to be discussing a topic that she picked.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paula.
And the topic is basically creating an open line of communication with your child.
Yeah.
And how you should do that when they're younger.
When they're little.
That way, when they get older and they become an adult, or a teen, they can feel comfortable coming to you with whatever issues that they have. Let's just talk a little bit about you. So, how old are you?
I am 36 years old. I have one son. My son is 19. He is a good kid, I could say. I actually did not expect him to be as good as he is for being a single parent. I tried my best with him as far as creating that communication bond with him. When he was little, I would always talk to him and tell him, like, if you make good choices, good things will happen. If you make bad choices, bad things will happen. Always be honest with me, because if you lie to me, then I can't trust you or help you. Yeah. We did really good with that, actually. There was a couple of times at school, like I would always ask him, how was your day? Did anything fun and interesting happen? Did you get in trouble? And I would always tell him, I would prefer you to tell me if you were being bad at school than your teacher telling me that you were being bad at school. For the most part, he would fess up when he would do something bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's always those one times that he didn't.
Yeah.
And
children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, dropping him off at school, that was our bonding time. We would talk one-on-one. He's always felt comfortable to talk to me. So fast forward to where we're at now. He had a girlfriend when he was 16 years old. And man, I disliked this little girl. That
There's always, there is always that one little girlfriend.
Exactly. She was that one girl, the one that makes him.
There.
Yeah. So he took the car in the middle of the night, things that he never actually did. And I didn't see it coming. An accident happened. So he was having sexual intercourse with her and the condom ripped. And he didn't tell me that same day. He told me the next day after I dropped him off at his friend's house.
But he told you?
Me. Yeah, he texted me. And he's like, hey, Mom, I got something to tell you. He's like, I hope you're not going to get mad. And he kind of put me at ease by just telling me that. And so then I was like, what happened? Are you okay? That was my main concern, was safety. Yeah. And then he's like, last night I went out and me and old girl had an accident. And I was like, what you mean you had an accident?
Like you crashed a car?
Yeah, what do you mean, And then he went into detail to tell me that the condom had ripped. And at that moment, I could have, been like, being irresponsible. Like, what are you doing messing with this little girl? Like, I could have, but I didn't. I sat in that moment and processed everything. And I asked myself, is it something that he could have controlled, the condom ripping? I mean, kids nowadays.
He did use a condom.
Yeah. So
you got to give him that.
Yeah. So he's being safe.
Yeah.
So, but at the moment I was like, you know what? Kids don't do this. I don't think I could ever have done this.
I would have never told my mom or dad.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
So at that moment, I felt like this, orgullo, like pride, like happy that, that he felt comfortable to come to me and tell me, hey, this happened to me. And so I told him, I was like, I texted him back. I was like, hey, thank you for coming to me. I was like, this is something very big and important. I was like, so I appreciate you feeling safe to be able to come to me and talk to me about this. I'll go ahead and take care of it. So I went to CVS, got a Plan B pill, drove to this little girl's house and brought a water bottle. No. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to be no grandma. I was too young. He was only 16.
Yeah.
So I was just like, here. I gave her the pill, gave her the water, and I was like, I don't want to see you drink it. I saw her drink it and I took off. And then I told him, I was like, I took care of it. Thank you for coming to me. I was like, because if you would have waited a week or two, we would have been here trying to figure out if she's pregnant or not. I was like, so that's good.
I'm going to cut in real quick. How does she feel about did she ask you for it? Did he ask you for it? How did that go? Because I want a little bit more detail on that. Basically, how did you guys get to the point, hey, I'm going to go get her a Plan B pill? Is it, this is what I'm doing and this is what you guys are going to do because I said so? Or is it, we're both freaking out. She wants a Plan B pill, but she can't tell her parents. She was underage, right? She's 16. So how did you feel about that? I'm going to go do this and give this 16-year-old or however old she was a Plan B pill. without her parents knowing? Like, how was there a worry that you were going to get into a conflict with the parents, or like what was the thought process?
Well, here's the thing about the parents. The parent had my phone number and I had her phone number, you know, and her mom would always go through their phone. Like, she knew they were being promiscuous before I did.
Okay.
But she didn't communicate that to me. You know what I mean? She had my number. If you knew something was going on, I could at least tell my son, like, hey, don't be doing that because she's young. You might get pregnant. You know, she might get pregnant. All these consequences that come to it.
Right.
She didn't tell me until after they broke up. She flipped out and was like, you're such an irresponsible parent, like trying to tell me my parenting skills were wrong. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, you had my number this whole time. Did you once call me and tell me, hey, what was going on? But every time your daughter came over sneaking into my house, I would let you guys know, hey, your daughter was here last night. Hey, that's because those are my parenting communication skills. So at that moment when that happened between them two, I just made an executive decision. I was like, neither one of them are ready to have kids. And I told my son, tell her that I'm going to take her Plan B pill. I was like, because you're not ready to be a father and she's definitely not ready to be a mom. And I'm not ready to be a grandma either. And I felt like a little bit of fear as into like, well, what if they find out I gave her a pill?
Yeah.
But in reality, what was I supposed to do? Let it happen?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that what you did was right or wrong.
No,
because honestly, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. I might have done the same thing. I don't fucking know.
No, yeah. Let's say you do have a daughter, right? I don't have a daughter, but
Right.
if I had a daughter,
I have a daughter.
Let's say my daughter did not feel safe enough to come to me to tell me, hey, mom, you know, this happened, like, and I don't know what to do, you know, and somebody else helped her in that way, I'd be thankful.
I would too.
I wouldn't want my daughter to be pregnant at 16.
I would be thankful as well. However, did at any point she say, I want to take this pill? I'm just curious. Or was it just like this transaction here? Okay, take it. Bye. I'm gone. Did at any point, like, did they express like, hey, I don't, like, we're freaking out here?
He told her. I told him, he contacted me and I told him, I was like, look, well, I can go get the pill. I was like, and I can take it to her and, you know, she can drink it and that'll take care of that, hopefully.
She never said, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, she never said no.
Okay.
Yeah, she never said no. I mean, her mom was really hard on her too. And she really couldn't go to her mom.
Yeah.
So when he came to me, I was like, well, this is what I can do for you guys if that's what you guys want. And they took it.
Okay.
And he talked to her. And when I pulled up, she didn't say she didn't want to take it or anything. If anything, she said, thank you.
Okay. She was 16, right? You said?
She was a year younger than him.
So she's 15. Okay.
Okay.
At that age, when you go to the doctor's office, they take your mom out, or, you know, well, if you're a girl, at least. I'm sure if you're a boy too. But I remember when I was about 15, 16, I had a really bad UTI. And my mom took me to the doctor, and the doctor told my mom to step out of the room because they wanted to ask me, are you sexually active? Could this be a STD type of thing? And so at that age, you can make a decision, you know, I feel like. Not every parent's going to agree. Like, there might be somebody that's listening that's going to be like, oh, hell no, I can't believe she did that. Like, you got to ask me before you give my child something. But honestly, if I was 15, 16 and I was in that situation and I wanted to take the pill, like if my daughter comes to me and is like, hey, mom, I fucked up. You know, I had sex and this happened and I'm really scared. Like, I don't want to be a mom. Can you please get me the Plan B pill? You better believe I'm taking my ass to the store right that second. And I know it's different for everyone. It all depends on your background, the way you were raised, the ways your culture, and also your religious beliefs, right? I just kind of wanted to clarify there because I already know there's going to be some questions. But again, I'm not saying that you're right or wrong in the situation. I think I probably would have done the same thing. And if I was her, I would have wanted somebody to do that for me. And if it was my daughter and she came to me, I would have, if that's what you want, it's your body, it's your choice, girl.
And or even like, let's say it was your daughter and she doesn't feel safe to come to you, but she feels safe to go to someone to get that help. That's why I mean, like, it's important to create that safety for your children. So when they do go through things like this, they're able to come to you and not go to someone else. Nobody else is going to have a better interest in your child than you.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
I try and have that open line of communication with my kids. I do feel, I'm going to be completely honest, that I kind of fucked up with my son. Yes and no, because we do talk a lot. We talk about stuff. I do talk to him about sex and all that. He's 18 now. He has a girlfriend. I don't need to know what he's doing. I was 18 before. But he does come to me with things. I feel like he would come to me if something like this happened. But also, I am very strict. And I do get mad. And I do pop off.
That's the thing.
So I feel like it could go either way. Like, my mom's going to kill me. I probably shouldn't say anything, you know? And I do want to change that because now that he's at an age where he's an adult now, well both of them are. If he ends up getting her pregnant, I mean, it's her choice if she wants to keep it or not, right?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Like,
I mean, at this
what
point,
the fuck am I going to do?
At this point, nothing, because they're both already
yes,
adults.
right. But even then, even though he's legally an adult now, he's not mentally an adult.
Yeah, he's not ready
right?
for that. Yeah.
But even when my kids are older, when he's 20 something, like, I want him to come to me. I think that he knows he can, but also there are things about the way I communicate my frustrations that I know I need to work on, because that is creating a wall that he'll only go so far.
So this is the thing. I wasn't always the way I am as far as calm, because I had a mom that was very passive aggressive. So every time I would come to her, she would just pop off. So I knew that I couldn't come to her with things.
My dad was like that, yeah.
So with my son, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be like my mom. I want to be better than my mom. She did the best that she could with what she had, but I don't want to repeat that. So that's why, since he was little, I've always tried to build that trust so he's able to come to me, talk to me. When he was little, he would talk to me about his friends, and, I always try to make him feel safe. But now, now that he's an adult and he's adulting, it makes me feel good when he needs advice. He's got a girlfriend, and he'll come to me and be like, me and so got an argument about this. And and it feels good, because I'm able to give him good advice. And then even his girlfriend, sometimes she opens up to me about things that he's done, and I'm able to give her good advice and tell her, don't let him talk to you like this, or I'm not going to pick her or him. I'm going to see things for what they are and help them both grow in what they can.
I agree. My son sometimes tells me little things with his girlfriends. I'll give him advice, and I don't take his side because he's my son. I'm not going to be that mom. It's like, oh, that's my boy. I'm going to defend him no matter what. Like, hell no. Like, he better act right. And I think that's important, and it does make me feel good. And personally, I feel like with him, when I say, like, I think I kind of fucked up with him, which is because it was an adjustment period for a while, because obviously if you've listened to the other episodes, you'll know that I discussed that I started raising him when he was 5. So he's not my biological son. So there was a lot of other issues that we were dealing with. There was an adjustment period. There was a lot of his mom, his biological mom, all the trauma. So there was a lot more that we had to get through. So it was a learning process, not only for him, but for me. So I feel like going through all of that, which is not easy, kind of created this thing where there was so much frustration that I sometimes didn't know how to deal with it. And I would, like, pop off, But we've gotten past that. It's been a while since, we've gotten past that. But I felt like I kind of messed up in the beginning but dude, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah. And and it's okay as long as now you have a better relationship with him, which you do. In the beginning, you don't know. You're adjusting to things. You never been a mom. You don't know. You're picking up a role. You're learning as you're going. So kid's great.
Speaking of step parenting, okay, so you were married, right? And he wasn't the father of your child. So how old was your son when you got married?
My son was 12 when I got married.
Okay. So he was at a very impressionable age. Okay. And so his father, he was not in the picture at all, or was he in the picture a little bit?
His dad's been a jailbird. So his dad's been in and out of jail all his life, not really in the picture. So he's had a really hard relationship with his dad. His dad's now out of prison, and his dad's been trying. And I've never talked bad to my son about his father, not ever. And you know how sometimes in the beginning, when you separate from your significant other, some moms tend to bash the father, like, oh your dad this, da, da, da.
I know a lot of moms that do that.
And that's
unhealthy.
That's unhealthy. That's so unhealthy. That's the worst thing as a mother that you can do to your child.
But it creates a bad perspective of men. or women. I know someone who, has had a very rocky relationship with the father of her children. They were married, divorced, got back together, all the, back and forth. I don't know how many fucking times. And the kids were there in the middle of everything. And she would talk bad about the father of her child in front of the kids. Yeah. And I would just be like, I don't know if I should tell her to shut the fuck up. Like, these are her kids, There's no way that these poor children are going to grow up and have a healthy perspective of what a good relationship should be. When you see everything that your parent is going through, whether it's a dad or the mom or whatever, that's what you think a relationship should be like. And if it's a rocky one,
you're going to have a rocky relationship when you grow up.
And it definitely affects you. Now, I know you do spend a lot of time with your son. And I'm assuming you do that
consistently.
Right.
Or nights or movie nights.
And how long have you been doing that for? Forever?
Yeah, since he was little.
He's 19 now. Do you still spend that much time with him?
He doesn't want to spend as much time with
obviously,
me. Because he's got a girlfriend.
Right. So you guys don't really, obviously you guys are close. It's just you two that live together, right? Now, you said you got married when he was 12. And how did your time with him change once you got married? Did that alone time kind of take a back seat, or were you still very like, hey, I'm going to do this? Like, and how was his relationship with your ex-husband?
So I had already told my son, I'm about to get married. There's going to be another person in our lives. He had already met him and they had, been bonding for some time. And I told my son, I was like, this person that I'm going to get married to is going to be your stepdad. And you're going to have to respect him the same way you respect me. So you can't be talking back. You have to listen, behave. And so he after telling him so many times before that actually happened, like he was already ready for it. So when we actually moved in together, there was a couple incidents where my husband had told my son, oh, this and this and that. My son didn't talk back to him. He did as he was told. And then he went to his room,
Looking back on what you just said that you told your son, as far as how to treat your ex-husband, do you feel now that that was the right decision that you made? Or do you feel like your ex should have earned that respect?
He should have earned it.
Okay.
He didn't deserve it.
Okay.
And now that me and my ex-husband aren't together, like I look back and I see a lot of things that, I messed up on that I need to help my son heal through, because he went from going out all the time, during the week we'd go get Baskin Robbins or, we did have Otter Pops outside in the front yard, go to the park, and now
so
that
it was
I was
just you and him for a long time.
Yeah. So then when I got married, I had to transition to, I'm working and I got to cook and I got to clean the house. And, and I told my son before that even happened, like, hey, we're not going to be able to go out as much, but we can still go out. And I forgot. On the day-to-day things, work and, going grocery shopping, cooking and all that,
being
like I stopped. Yeah. And so it hit him, because when he started going to school and started acting out and misbehaving, I knew something wasn't right, because that's not who he is. And so then I had to talk to my ex-husband and tell him like, hey, I feel like Gio's misbehaving because he needs my attention. And I'm like, I'm going to start going out with him, just me and him, spending some quality time, because I feel like this is what he's asking for. And obviously my husband was like, oh, you don't want me to spend time with you guys. And he wasn't okay with it, with me spending that quality time with him. But at the same time, it's like, I need to do what's best for my son.
Why do you think he wasn't okay with it? Because, he's your son. And was it too much quality time? Was it, what do you think the issue was? Did he ever tell you?
I think it's just he was feeling left out.
Okay.
And I was trying to explain to him, my son went from seeing and being with his mom all the time to not spending that quality time with her. So of course it's going to affect him, and he needs that, and being an adult, talking to another adult, I would expect him to understand. But how can you have somebody that has no children understand? Because he doesn't have any kids.
You guys didn't have kids together, obviously.
No,
was that a choice that both of you made?
I wanted to have more kids. He didn't want to have kids. But at the same time, I was just like, you know what? it is what it is. I at least have one. If later on in the future we have kids, great. If not, not. I'm just gonna leave it in God's hands. And I
Yeah.
prayed on it and I told God I don't want to see myself being a single mother again. So if it's meant to be, I know nothing's impossible for you and you don't make it happen.
Yeah.
But I'm a very spiritual person. And when I ask God for stuff, I ask him from my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that I asked him, that I don't want to see myself being a single parent again.
Mm-hmm.
And to please, if this is not the person that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, to please prevent me from having a kid. And if this was okay, then we would have a kid. And I didn't take care of myself for like 2 years and I couldn't get pregnant. So I honestly thought he was shooting blanks.
Yeah.
And so then COVID happened
Mm-hmm.
and I got my COVID shot and I had a cyst on my ovaries.
Mm-hmm.
So once they took that out, I guess I have endometriosis underneath of that. So which would make it harder for me to get pregnant. And instead of me freaking out, like, oh my God, like, I was just like, that's the sign that I asked God for. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had asked him for that. So I've been known that I should have left that marriage a long time ago, but I guess I was just in the illusion of what the potential was. They just didn't bond. It's like they had a roommate relationship. And I remember asking my ex-husband so many times, can you please build this relationship with him? Because the only reason why I went off to pursuing getting into a marriage and being with someone is because my son, when he was little, he would always want a dad. It's sad to say, I have a picture of him that he brought me a Santa Claus card. He said, can you send me a dad?
Mm.
And he brought me a blank one and said, here, Mom. He's like, maybe you should ask Santa to send you a husband since God hasn't sent you one.
Oh, that is sad.
Yes. And sometimes I go through my pictures because sometimes you have to delete some of that stuff. And I'll go back to that and I saved it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what prompted me to looking for a good role model of a husband for my son, only to find out that he wasn't going to be what I wanted him to be. It was an illusion of what I thought he could be to my son.
And okay, I want to dig a little deeper into that.
Yeah, go ahead, touch it. I'm all open.
Okay. How long were you dating your ex before you guys decided to get married?
5 years.
Okay. And in those 5 years, he was building a relationship with your son?
No, I'm a very overprotective mom.
Okay.
You see, when I was 19, I had a relationship with this gentleman that lived in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And he built a relationship with my son.
Oh.
And when that gentleman left my life, I saw the impact it did on my son's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, we're not doing this. If I date someone, I am dating them. We aren't dating them. I'm dating them.
But you had a son.
Comes, yeah. And when the time comes that I feel this is, going somewhere,
yeah,
then we'll make the time for you to actually get along with my son. But first, I need to see if you're even a good candidate before you can, I can interview you.
And I completely agree with that. How long did it take before you decided, okay, this is the right time, they're going to meet?
4 years. I dated him for 4 years and they got to know each other for about a year.
So you dated him for 4 years before you introduced him to your son?
Yes.
Okay. Looking back, do you think that was the right choice?
No.
Why?
Because I should have seen how he was going to be with my son since the beginning. Because I should have seen it and I didn't see it, when he actually started to hang out with my son and he seemed to be very about it. He would come to his baseball games and his basketball games and went to practice and, he did what I thought
a father should do.
And so once we actually got married and we're living together, I don't see any of that effort anymore.
For a whole year, he was involved and then you guys got married in the 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so in that year, you did feel like, hey, he's doing stuff that he should be doing. Like, I'm content with his behavior towards my son. But then as more time went on, things started to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he stopped putting in the effort and he would be like, I did try. I asked him if he wanted to go play golf, or I asked him and I'm like, it's a relationship you have to continuously be pouring on. Like, it's not you just, oh, hey. And then they say, no, he doesn't know you that well. It takes time. Just like when you're getting to know somebody, it takes time. And I'm like, I wish you would have tried as hard as you tried in our marriage to build that relationship with my son, but you didn't, and with my son, when I did leave that marriage, he didn't really care for him. After I decided to leave my ex-husband, I was just so involved with my own emotions that I completely forgot about his. And then one day I was driving and it just hit me like, you haven't even asked Gio how he feels about all this.
Mhm.
And so then I asked him, I was like, Mijo, I'm like, like, how do you feel about the separation? And he's like, honestly, he's like, I don't really care about him. He's like, it's not like me and him had a relationship where we hung out or we did things. He's like, I'm more concerned about you and how you're going to handle this and how you're going to be. Like, he was worried about, am I going to go through the crazy roller coaster? And I was like, you don't have to worry about me. Like, I'm fine.
How old was your son when you and your ex got divorced or split up?
He was 18.
This has happened in the last year.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
only been separated for a whole year.
Okay. And you're legally divorced?
Unfortunately, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Still waiting for the paperwork.
But you're in the process.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, your son is like, I'm good. You don't have to worry about me. I'm more concerned about you. How does it make you feel that he's concerned about you?
He's concerned because he's never been in this situation where he's seen me deal with breakups like this. I've always been very private when it comes to my breakups and making sure that he doesn't see me suffer because I don't want him to feel like he needs to be my protector.
Okay.
I wanted him to still be a kid and be in that kid mentality, because sometimes when you show that to your children, it creates something in them where they feel like they need to protect you and they're always watching after you, taking care of you. And that creates some type of anxiety for them.
It does, yeah.
I've been known that I should have left that marriage a long time ago, but I guess I was just in the illusion of what the potential was.
So you guys were married for about 6 years?
5.
5 years. And when did you know? Because you said you'd been known, but like when did you feel like you knew but you weren't really wanting to see it? After how long?
I knew in that first year of that marriage.
Damn, okay.
But it's like how I told you, sometimes we get ourselves into situations that we're embarrassed to get out of. I got myself in this. What are my parents going to say? What are they going to think? Like, so like I already made this choice. Like I should have made a better choice. Like I'm here where I'm at. Now let's make it work.
You were trying your best to make the relationship work, even though you knew deep down that it probably wasn't going to.
Yeah.
And how do you feel that affected your son?
It affected him immensely. I lost my vision, like I was trying to do the whole being a good wife, being a good parent. I was still going to all his activities and all that and trying to balance everything. And I did see it afterwards. Like my son now feel like I failed him. I think if me and him would have been by ourselves where I was before I met this guy, my son would probably be a little bit more independent than what he is right now.
And why do you think that he's not independent? Like, how do you think that has hindered him?
Because he wanted my attention, so he would ask me for help for everything or depend on me to do everything.
So he's very dependent on you.
Yeah.
For everything. And you feel like that was a way for him to seek attention from you because he wasn't getting it like he used to. And obviously you didn't see that at the time, right? Now, looking back at everything, you're like, okay, shit. So in what ways do you feel that he could be more independent as a 19-year-old boy? I mean, he's still pretty young, like, but he's old enough to be able to do certain things. Like, where do you feel like that he falls short?
I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you because I feel like that's key to everything. With my son, like right now I tell him, hey, go online and apply to these security companies. And he hears me, but he doesn't do it. Like I have to sit there with him and show him and like step by step. And it's like, why do I need to sit here and do this with you? Like, why can't you just do it? Like when I was your age, I just log on the computer and just figured it out. Like I know you can figure it out because if you have TikTok accounts and Crunchyroll accounts and all these other accounts,
Crunchyroll?
I don't know, some video or movies app that they watch anime. But basically what I'm getting at is if you can do all these other things that you do like to do and set up these accounts, you can most definitely apply for a job and set up an account and answer the questions. Why do I need to sit there or have to be constantly telling you? He depends on me a lot. And I'm trying to work on that as far as breaking that because I want him to be independent. He's 19. He's about to be 20. He doesn't have his driver's license.
Why? A lot of kids don't have their driver's license right now. It's a thing. Okay. Now, before we keep going, I just want to say all these things that you're saying, I feel like they're very common nowadays. I feel like they were less common when we were teenagers because so many parents that I've talked to with kids around this age have this freaking issue. It's got to be partly a generational thing. Times have changed. Also, the way that we raise our kids does make a big difference. And sometimes it's hard to break away from what's happening constantly and how the world is moving, right? So it's a little bit of both things. But anyways, I feel like with my son too, he's 18, like I said. He's about to graduate high school. It's this, if I don't want to, I'm not going to. Constantly have to be repeating the same thing. Little tasks that we give them, or
Preach it.
these little fucking things that you're like, hey, go do this, and it doesn't get done. Oh, I forgot. But you didn't forget to play your video games.
Yeah.
But you didn't forget. Like, this is not how the real world works.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't show up to work on time, and what are you going to tell your boss? Oh, I forgot. Like right now, we're his boss because he works for us. And it's like, he has a little bit of leeway, a little bit. But like I said, I'm pretty strict. And right now I'm not even in the office. So like, I don't really have too much say in that. But just this morning, he was late for school again. He's late for school at least once a week. And now he has a car. He drives himself. What the hell is the reason that you are late? Other than you stayed up too freaking late and you overslept. You probably stayed up late talking to your girlfriend or playing video games. That is not a priority.
No.
He got his ass downstairs when he finally did. And I said, do not ask me for the next 2 weeks to go anywhere other than work and school. Because you're not waking up on time. And when your dad asks you to go help him outside in the backyard to do stuff, you are just not having it, or you're doing everything all half-assed because you don't want to do it. So do not ask me. He doesn't say anything. I'm like, hello, did you hear me? Because I don't want to be like, oh, I didn't hear you. Oh, I didn't know you said that. Because I'm dumb. Yeah, I heard you. Okay. All right. Now, I have had a few people, because like I said, this is the way that I parent and whatever it is what it is. I've had a few people be like, well, he's 18 now. I don't give a fuck.
He's 18 and he's living here. So
I'm like, he lives in my house. These are my rules. If he don't like it, he can pack his shit up and leave.
Right.
But anyways, I'm over here just getting off subject. But yes, these kids are not ready.
They're not.
And so basically you feel like he depends on you a lot. And you did mention earlier that you're overprotective and a helicopter parent.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
Why he's dependent on you a lot, maybe, because you've always been there to catch him when he falls. Now, technically, yes, that's what parents are supposed to do, right? But there has to be limits.
Yeah.
And it can be hard. I'm not like talking shit or whatever.
No,
it can be hard.
Yeah, it is hard because you see your children struggling in certain things, and what more do you want to make, to help them? Are you enabling them or are you helping them?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part.
That can be kind of hard to decipher sometimes because you're their parent. And what your job is my job is to raise my child, take care of them, and give them what they need, right? In this case, you were basically just raising him and you were doing things the way that you felt needed to be done. You didn't have the other parent there to put their input in or whatever, right? You said his dad was in and out of jail.
I had to be mom and dad for him. So I had to be loving, caring, and then I had to be that parent what's like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah. And it's hard to kind of balance all of that. Sometimes when there's two parents involved, there's a really strict parent and the parent, and there's this balance.
Yeah.
And when you're a single parent, there is no balance. There can be, but it's fucking hard.
It is fucking hard.
I know a lot of single moms, and and we've talked about this, and they do say, like, with a mom that I know who is a single parent, and I'm like, hey, you got to be more tough. Like, you're letting these kids get away with too much shit. And it's easy for me to say that. Because my situation, I'm the third party, and my situation is different, right? And we talked, and she's like, I know, but it's hard because I have to be mom and dad, and sometimes I feel like I'm just always the bad guy.
It's hard because, in essence, a woman is nurturing and loving.
Yeah,
so I flow with my heart. I do things out of heart, and I'm very loving and nurturing with him, even now that he's still an adult. Like sometimes the other day I told him, I was like, can I get a kiss? He's like, don't you think you're a little too old to have a kiss? I'm like, boy, I'm never too old to have a kiss. If anything, I'm questioning, why don't you kiss me more often?
My son gives me a kiss every time he comes home. He kisses me on the cheek.
I'm jealous.
He does that shit on his own.
I'm just like, I was like, your mom needs kisses every once in a while. I was like, like, I'm not saying kiss me every day, but, can I get some love? I mean, I show you love all the time. And he's like, okay, mom, so sometimes he'll hug me and give me his bear hugs. But, there it goes, the communication, asking for what you need and you shall receive.
If he's feeling down or something's going on with him, does he still come to you and tell you like, hey, mom, like, I'm feeling kind of down, or like, can you hug me? Or I don't know, something along those lines.
No, he does not tell me that he would like a hug. But this right now, what you just said kind of just opened my eyes as to when next time I do see him, crying, because he does have moments that he balls up, that he's going through his own personal things, and we're talking. And next time when that does happen, I'm going to be the one to give him a hug. So he knows that I'm there for him too, as much as he's been there for me.
Yeah. And it's tough. It's tough for boys. And we had this conversation a little bit before we started recording, how it, depending on your culture and just in general, it doesn't really, I don't think the culture really matters too much. Just in general, the man is always supposed to be strong and boys don't cry, that whole thing. So it can be tough for them to ask for love. So it's important to show them that it's okay to ask for a hug or whatever, because we all need a little loving. Did you ever talk to your son about the issues you had with your husband?
Not really.
Okay.
Because I feel like
I don't think they shouldn't know. No.
Kids shouldn't know what's going on in the marriage. If anything, if he did hear us like having a discussion, he would be like, he'll send me a text and be like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I'll be like, yeah, everything's fine. And that's another thing that I did tell him too. If you see me and him, having an argument, don't feel like you need to go in there and protect me. Like, we're just having a discussion. Like boundaries, basically.
Yeah.
And he always respected our boundaries. He never got into it or anything.
But you never came to him with your issues, right? Okay.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't think that. First of all, I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, because then that creates some kind of animosity towards the person.
Yeah, not only that, your child doesn't need to feel like they're the one that needs to rescue you or help you or save you or whatever the case is.
Anxiety.
Right? Like, and so now that we've discussed all these things and how you feel it's affected your son, whether it's in a positive way or in a negative way, obviously there's a lot of positive here. Your son comes to you to talk to you about whatever is going on with him, so he feels comfortable. So, and then there's that negative part that we discussed, where you feel like all these other things that you went through, including your divorce and the fact that your ex didn't really like you spending time, like that one-on-one time with your son, caused him to react in a way where he was very dependent on you, because that was his way of seeking attention from you. And so you also said you are an overprotective mom, more like a helicopter mom. And we've discussed kind of how that has affected him in a negative way, as far as you have to do a lot of stuff for him. And you don't feel like at the age of 19, he is where he should be. Now, when is he going to be 20?
Is it September this year?
So this year. So well, that's in what, like 6 months?
Yeah.
Or so? So in about 6 months, he's going to be 20. And you don't feel like he's in a place in his life. He doesn't have his license yet. You still have to kind of push him to get a job or to like apply and do all these little things, right? He's just waiting on mommy to do stuff.
So, that saying that they say you are what you attract, right? So him and his girlfriend, they track each other because they both don't do nothing.
I was just going to ask, like, how's his girlfriend? Is she on the same type of...
She's in the same dynamic as him. This whole past year, her mom has also had encouraged her to get a job. And, like, they just have no drive, no motivation.
Now that we're talking about jobs, I want to ask you really quick. Have you talked to your son about when he's at a job and he doesn't want to work there anymore? Like, what to do? Like, if he just, like, for example, if he decides, like, hey, I got this job at Chick-fil-A, let's say, and turns out I don't like it. Are you like, hey, make sure you put in your notice and you let them know? Or you're like, well, if you don't like it, just leave. Or has that conversation never came up? And there's a reason why I'm asking.
No, it hasn't actually came up.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking you is because like we have our own business. And for those of you that don't know, it's an insurance agency. So we have about 6 offices. I was in charge of the hiring when I was working there and all that stuff. We did hire some young folks.
How young are we talking about?
Like 18, 19,
okay.
20 to work the front desk, answer phones, stuff like that. And I was coming across this issue where it was like, for whatever reason, they decided they didn't want to work there anymore, whether they got another job or they just like, this is kind of boring, and they would just not show up. For whatever reason, they just didn't want to work no more. And there was no 2-week notice. And I'm like, what the hell is up with this generation? Like, to me, I was always told, put in your 2-week notice, like you give a heads up. And I see, and I see on like online forums and things like this, I see people are just like, oh, I don't give a fuck. If I don't want to work there, I'm just going to leave. I don't agree with that. And I don't know if it's because I'm the business owner on the business owner end or what, but one of our young employees, who she's been with us for like 4 years now, I think. We hired her at 18. So she's like 22 now. I asked her one time, like, dude, like, what is the deal with your generation? And she was like, what? I'm like, why is there no 2-week notice? Why is it just like, I don't want to work no more. Fuck this. I'm just going to leave. And I don't know if this is how everybody thinks, but this is the answer that she gave me. Well, it's like life is too short to do something you don't want to do. So just, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck? She's like, yeah, like life's too short just to do stuff. Like, so like, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it. And I'm like, that's
so dumb.
Yeah, and I'm like, I see what you're talking about, but like, I don't think that you leaving a job falls into that category. Like, yes, if you don't like the job, obviously, you know what? This is not what I want to do. I'm going to leave.
I see her point of view.
I see it too, but also
because I mean, I've been in several positions of jobs where I had to be in it. But if I had that choice to just be like, oh, come here more. Like, I'm good. Bye. So that tells me that those teams that you hired that did that means they don't have any sense of responsibility.
Yeah, no sense of responsibility. And they obviously have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
They're entitled is what they are.
Life's too short.
I mean, girl, yes. Life is too short to do stuff you don't want to do. I totally agree. But
this is a job.
But the thing is, like, you came to me. You sat here. You interviewed with me. You asked me to give you this opportunity. I'm giving it to you.
Did you even ask them how come they didn't give a 2-day notice?
Like, I think at one point I was like, there's no notice. And I think I just didn't even get a response. Like, they didn't even call me, girl. They text me. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't got time for this shit. Like, I get what you're saying. Unless something like horrible happens, obviously, like, you get into an argument or your boss is disrespecting you or something and you're like, fuck this. I'm leaving. I'm not going to come back. I don't expect a 2-week notice.
Like, my mom never told me that I had to put a 2-week notice or anything like that. It just depends on how you're raised.
Yeah.
If you're given the knowledge to be successful, you're going to be successful. But if you're having to discover the knowledge on your own, well, you're going to go through some hurdles and shit. And then you're going to fall and you're going to get up. And you're going to fall and you're going to get up.
Yeah. Growing up, being a young adult in general is hard because you're learning. And I think sometimes I'm a little too hard on my son because I'm expecting him to know these things.
And they don't know.
And they just don't know. Even something simple, once he starts to work towards something, like he has a small little goal, he starts to work towards it and he achieves it on his own, it's gonna feel good.
I do tell them that. Try to figure it out first. Go in on Google or go on the website, go onto YouTube. Like, I give them ideas of where they can find their answer and then we'll talk about it. So I give them the opportunity. I don't just go and save the day. No.
Yeah.
Figure it out first. If you can't figure it out,
then come to me.
And we'll try to
see. That's something that we struggle with Junior also. He just doesn't like to do the research, he just wants, I don't know what to do.
Okay, well then you don't know.
Yeah, and so we're just like, okay, well, I'm gonna tell you. Sounds like a you problem now, basically. And he either figures it out or he goes without whatever he wants because he doesn't want to do the work to figure it out. All right, that's your choice. Like, I had enough of this shit.
I've been waiting for you to be 18.
I've been
waiting for you to figure things out for you.
Yeah, you gotta figure. Like, I just remember being his age and being so freaking ready
like
to take on life.
I mean, at 17, 18, I already had my own apartment. I had my car. I had my job. I had my son. I was very independent. And that's what I tell him. That's why I told him. I was like, I don't understand. I'm like, I had this, I did that, and you got no baby.
Yeah.
And you,
because he got no motivation.
Yeah. And I'm like,
he probably needs that baby. I'm just
no, knock on wood.
Just kidding. I do wish them the best, and I wish you the best. And you're a single mama, and you're doing what you can and the best you can, and you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
You know, just got to keep pushing because it's not going to get any easier. I just want to end with that. And it's why I want to add one little thing right now. I said it's not going to get easier. That my brother-in-laws, I have twin brother-in-laws, and they turned 18 2 weeks after my son did. And we were here at the house. We had a little cake for them. And, that's my mother-in-law's last baby. Yeah. So she has 5 boys, and the last 2 are twins. And I was like, and I looked over at her and I was like, your babies are 18 now. I was like, you don't have to worry no more. And she was like, it's just starting. And I'm like, it never ends, does it? She's like, no. It's like, you will always worry about your kids, always. And I'm like, yep, I see that.
Yeah, you do.
So best of luck, my friend. We'll see where this goes. But thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your experience and talking about all the stuff we talked about. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yes, did. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Of course.
Allowing me to express myself and my stuff that I have dealt with when my child and creating those safety nets for them.
Of course, anytime. All right. So per usual, I'm going to end this episode with a quote. And here it goes. Trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships. And this is from Stephen R. Covey. And he is the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We're going to end it here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and happy parenting. Bye.